My name is Catta, and I'm an activist in Taiwan. And I've been involved in a lot of different movements for quite a while. And right now, I'm doing currently two projects. One is to doing a migrant workers shelter, and the other one is about getting organizing a film festival. Yeah.
And what is going on in Taiwan? What are the social economic conditions and with workers and migrant
Well,
workers?
currently it's more about the very low pay in Taiwan because every year the price goes on and the living price is getting high rise, but at the same time the minimum wage and the generally people get paid is not really that well. So a lot of young people just go straight abroad and trying to figure out some other ways than trying to survive in Taiwan. Yeah.
And there have been an occupation of the parliament. What happened since that time?
Yeah, it was earlier this year in March, because the parliament is actually going to pass a agreement with China, this trading service, and it has a lot of different controversy in that agreement. But to be sure, it is basically most of the people don't really like it, but the parliament and the government still insist that they should have the agreement with China, and the biggest thing probably for most of the people is that they think it's going to be more and more reliant on China, in economic and many ways, and probably will get unified in the future. So a lot of people are getting freaked out and also super angry about the parliament suddenly passed the agreement without much the so-called democracy procedure. So that's why it happened.
Is it connected with what's going on in Hong Kong?
I would say yes and no, because it's all about China government thing. Like what Hong Kong people are actually doing is that they want to have the real democracy election in their area, and well, yeah, the same thing is that they are always Taiwan and Hong Kong is mostly talking about the relationship with China. So I would say yeah, kind of related.
And what China now has a relationship with the capitalists in Taiwan and in Hong Kong.
Yep.
They're integrated. What is their agenda? What is their economic and political agenda? What's the plan? Why does China want to take over or bring Taiwan into China?
Well, I would say the nationality thing is not really actually that big deal, because in the reality, right now is the capitalists has already go to China to set up factories, and workers are already there, and nothing more it is besides the government and the visa and the ID thing. It's not really that much different, because we are already having a lot of Chinese coming into Taiwan to travel around, and some even illegally working, and also there's so many capital going to China to invest, and we have so many Taiwanese businessmen over there. It's just we already have a lot of different ways to get connected already. It's just nothing much. The only difference is that we right now got two government in different places, and that's it.
And there are a lot of Taiwanese companies,
Yeah.
Foxconn and others. What is the relationship of these Taiwanese companies to what's going on in China and in Taiwan?
Well, what they do right now is that they have we have in Taiwan we have a lot of companies that are especially manufacturing technology products, like say smartphone, computer, the hardware thing. A lot of things is happening in Taiwan. What they do is that they have the company registered in Taiwan, but actually the factories are all around the world, like in China, in Vietnam, in Philippines, in Thailand. So they had an order in Taiwan, they take it. And then afterwards, they send all the orders to the different factories around Southeast Asia. And then they kind of get the money in Taiwan and then send it, reinvest to the other factories. So basically we have money coming in and go, but we are not really actually earning much. Except that the GDP looks really good, but we don't really have much revenue.
And what is the situation of workers and migrant workers in Taiwan?
I would say that was it is really bad, especially with the migrant workers, because usually the migrant workers come to Taiwan, which are usually Filipinos or Indonesians. They are usually taking the minimum wage, and a lot of times because they're nationality and they are migrant workers, so their job they have a lot of limitation. Like for example, they cannot change their employers freely. They have to go through a lot of procedures, and if they are in the working disputes, it's really hard for them to solve the problem by themselves. They really need to get to, say, working or worker associations, or go to the government department to really struggle to solve the problem. So right now, me and my friends, we're having a project is that we're trying to set up a migrant workers shelter. That is, if the worker is having problem, in Taiwan, the migrant workers, they probably have language issue, or they are being excessive charged, or they are having, like not enough safety things, and a lot of different disputes happen in their workplace, and they can come to us, and we can help them to solve the problem. And at the same time, if they are having problem to, like, say they cannot stay in the dorm of the factory, they can come to us and be at the shelter. And also at the same time, we provide a lot of legal consultation. So like about your working rights, and how much the agency fee are supposed to be, and anything regarding migrant workers should be having in Taiwan.
So why don't you talk about some of the battle or the fights of workers to get their rights and organize these migrant workers, and how you've been involved in helping them to support their struggles for justice.
Well, the story is quite long, but the reason why I'm involved in this project is because I was a migrant worker in Australia, because I was working there and I having working dispute. But obviously the mainstream union doesn't really like to help migrant workers, so I have to solve the problem by myself and with some local activists' help. But basically it's very desperate and not much help. So when I come back to Taiwan, I just think that the migrant workers also are in like an even worse situation in Taiwan. So it's always good to have someone to help. Especially I got the language ability a little bit, but Indonesian don't really speak English anyway. So I was really want to develop myself in the migrant workers, so like get them help. And also it's because like there's a misunderstanding about migrant workers in Taiwan, is that most of the local workers think that it's the migrant workers, taking away their jobs and like keeping the wage really low and all the things like that. They're blaming the migrant workers, but in fact it's not. The problem is that right now the wage system in Taiwan is we're trying to separate the locals and the migrants, which makes the whole market even worse. And like the migrant workers get the minimum wage. So the employer think that, if the local workers don't want to take it, I'll just use the minimum wage to take the migrant workers. So that's become like make the whole labor system even worse. So what we do is we're trying to make the migrant workers in a better situation, which will indirectly making the local workers a better situation.
And what is the relationship of the unions in Taiwan to the struggle of migrant workers?
Didn't want to say things bad about them, but in fact, we hardly see any mainstream unions helping the migrant workers. Well, partly is because of the language issue, and other thing is more or less about like they don't really know like how can they deal with the migrant workers policy, because some of the unions, they are against migrant workers, so they don't even want any migrant workers to come to Taiwan. But anyway, it did come, so there are so many like Filipinos and Indonesians here already, and the employers are asking more and more. So the thing is that we should figure out how we can, survive both migrant and the local.
And do you have links with other migrant workers in Asia?
Yeah, we know, like in Taiwan, we got two, kind of like the two largest migrant association. One is called Migrant. It's a Filipino association. It's actually around the world. So they got like Migrant Taiwan and Migrant Australia, Migrant England, I guess. And the other one is called AKI. It's a Indonesian association. So basically, it's more like they gather together, so they have fun and exchange the information. But at the same time, they also have some teaching program. They teach Chinese to the Indonesian workers to help them to survive in Taiwan. And also at the same time, they are having a lot of different events so that more and more Indonesians can come and meet together. Yeah.
And there are 300 million migrant workers around the world.
Yeah.
Do they have power?
I would say yes and no. Yes, meaning that there are so many of them, so they definitely have the power. But no is that right now they are not well organized yet, because they really need to meet each other and identify their problems and work together.
Are you optimistic?
I would say yes, because globalization, all the workers are running around the world. So when we get to realize that, no matter I'm Taiwanese or you're American or who is Indonesians or Filipinos, when you get to realize that you're the workers, it's not really about your nationalities and you want to get together to organize, then yeah, we will succeed.